Welcome back to Radical Music Reviews. It's been a long time since I've done one. It's probably been about a month or so, maybe longer. I've actually had some new subscribers from different parts of the world, so that's actually very cool. Thank you very much. So I can't remember where I left off alphabetically, but I've been listening to a lot of this band, and I want to tell you, this band really is at the forefront of psychedelic music, of rock music, of great musicianship. I've got their classic albums, and I'm going to talk about them in detail as best I can from what I remember. I don't edit my videos. These are one-offs. This is all from my head. So if I make a mistake, leave me a comment. Tell me I made a mistake. I'd like to learn. So the band I'm talking about is Pink Floyd. Now, a lot of varying opinions, like any musician, any group on Pink Floyd. They're a stoner band. They're a psychedelic band. They're too slow. They're too stoner. I can't get into their music. That's fine. I mean, if you think those things about them, that's cool. I mean, it's your opinion. I find I'm going to differ with you quite a bit, but they can be viewed as that. Their music isn't the most accessible. It's not the most catchy or easy to get into. But I will say that Pink Floyd's musicianship, the way they play their instruments, the lyrics that they sing, the engineering that they do themselves, was quite pioneering. So a little history for those of you who just think of Pink Floyd as The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon. If you're over like 50 or 60 like I am now, you'll understand what I'm going to say. In the mid-60s, this band came out of London, and they started rehearsing in a church, and they did a lot of weird stuff, like a lot of like sound effects, using their instruments to excess, screaming, hooching, hollering, yelling. And it was kind of weird at the time. People were taken aback. But eventually, who Pink Floyd became, released Pipers at the Gates of Dawn. Now at that time you had Roger Waters, Syd Barrett, founding member of Pink Floyd. I think Nick Mason was in there as well at that time. David Gilmour was not. David Gilmour came later to replace Syd Barrett, who went on acid. I'll get to that. So Pipers at the Gates of Dawn was a fantastic opening album. Like the Beatles before them, it showed what you could do with your instruments and still really capture people's attention. There was a musicality in what they did in those early days. Now, is it relevant for me or for most people who are watching this? Probably not. Early Pink Floyd is really something only for purists, I would say. And I didn't start getting into them until Obscured by the Clouds. No, sorry, was this Obscured by the Clouds? Sorry, that's Metal. Metal, this LP has got some really great tracks, and I mean great rock and roll tracks, that eventually made its way into what would become Dark Side of the Moon. So if you want to investigate Pink Floyd, this is a good place to hear them at their kind of infancy of their later years of Dark Side. Wish You Were Here. Echoes takes up the whole second side of this LP. It starts with a pinging and then moves on to very ethereal guitar music, and it's an absolute epic. Metal is a great album. Do you want to start here with Pink Floyd? I'll tell you where to start. It probably wouldn't be this. This is really a great album, though. Put it on your list. And then the next one I want to talk about is what made them famous, what really broke Pink Floyd through, and that's Dark Side of the Moon. Now, Dark Side of the Moon, it's an iconic album. It was massive. It sold, I don't know, it's probably sold over 30 million units now, 25 million units. Number one for decades and decades. It's gangbusters. And what made this album so good, and by the way, I'm doing these albums in order, and all these albums I own, I think they're Pink Floyd's best, except Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, but that's antiquated now. So with Dark Side, you had an album that, like a lot of Pink Floyd albums, there's a theme to it, and the theme to this was things that make you go mad. So songs like Time, Money, all the things that make you go mad. And the engineering on this by Roger Waters was fantastic. Engineered and also produced by Alan Parsons of the Alan Parsons Project. Fantastic band, the Alan Parsons Project. And he's a great producer too. This is Is it their best? I don't know. I mean, maybe the next one that I'm going to get to is their best, but it's always a debate for me about which one is. But Dark Side of the Moon, you all know it. I mean, y'all love it. Y'all should put it on again soon if you haven't. Next album I got, and next one in the order was Wish You Were Here. I love this album. I love it just as much as Dark Side, and when I have to think about what their best album is, I kind of go back and forth. Wish You Were Here is an album that I've listened to probably more than Dark Side of the Moon. If you're not familiar with it, you should get familiar with it. It is an album that is, there's a bit of jazz in it. The Pink Floyd actually spices it up a little bit in this. Do they rely on sound effects in the kind of production stuff that they did in Dark Side? Yeah, of course. You know, Wish You Were Here, parts 1 to 3. Or pardon me, give me a second. This is where you don't edit. Shine On You Crazy Diamonds, parts 1 to 3 and 3 to 6. Fantastic work. Beautiful jazz rhythms and cool stuff going on in that. This is a great album. I would say that, I don't know, this or Dark Side, but I love this album. This may be their best. I don't know. But then again, this might be their best too. Who knows? So the next one in line that I have is Animals. Now, this album was really a departure from what the previous ones were. I think that the record producers were wanting something different. But what Roger Waters and Pink Floyd gave in this, and I say Roger Waters because he really started to come out in this album. It's an album that is darker. It speaks to how society views each other. And if you can even look at the liner notes. You can see how, you know, the black and white and the kind of nihilistic vision of this album. And the songs on this album, Pigs, Dogs, and Sheep. Now, it's not that Roger Waters necessarily said that these are the sections of society, although the way society is going now, we're getting there, aren't we? But that people view other people as pigs, dogs, or sheep, and all the traits and myths that those animals carry. It's a wonderfully lyrical album. It's a wonderfully produced and played album. There's some music on this that if you don't know this album and you haven't heard very much of it, and you listen to classic Pink Floyd, you know, pour yourself a drink, give it a listen. It's a really great album. If you're a Pink Floyd fan, it's going to pay big dividends. If you're just getting into Pink Floyd, I would wait till Dark Side and Wish You Were Here. Now the next one that I have, and the last one that I have, is of course The Wall. Now The Wall is some people's favorite album. This is an LP that, I mean, could an argument be made to say that this is their best album? I don't know. Maybe that may be the case. I mean, I think that this album is a grand spectacle of emotion and feeling. It is a dark album. Obviously, many of you know about this album. It is about a fictional rock and roll star called Pink and his sink into drugs and insanity and all the other trappings of the so-called rock and roll lifestyle. And this album is cyclical, which means it goes around and round, because it starts with "There You Go," or is it "Here We Go, Here We Go," and then at the end of the album is "Again." So here we go again, here we go again, here we go again, and it's theoretically supposed to go on an infinite loop. It is a Roger Waters album. Did Pink Floyd play a part in this? Yeah, of course they did. I mean, David Gilmour's Guitar Uncomfortably Numb, there's a huge lawsuit over that between Roger Waters and David Gilmour. I don't want to get into that. I want to talk about the music, but it's a good album. It's not their best. I don't think it's their best. It would be below all the other ones that I've talked about, because I'm not really into musicals or theater production, and that's kind of what this is theater production. Is there good songs in here? Absolutely. Overall, is it their best album? No, I don't think it is. Yeah, Pink Floyd. If you want a video, a good YouTube video, check out Pink Floyd live at Pompeii. They set up their actual instruments in the Pompeii Theater and do a concert just for video cameras. It's a really cool movie. You should check it out. Pink Floyd live in Pompeii. Okay, thanks for watching. I don't know who's up next. I'm kind of just picking some big bands, man. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying it. Tune in again, and Yeah, till then, peace.